Um, all right, all right. So, what's going on, everybody? Let me see if y'all can see my screen here. Let me know if you guys can see my screen, guys. And if you can hear myself and Faisal fine.
Hello.
Because, yeah, we're just getting the technical issues sorted here. Hopefully y'all can hear. All right. Yeah, we got a lot of stuff to talk about, guys. I'm super excited for today's conversation with Faisal, our equities analyst. And yeah, make sure you guys hit the thumbs up and make sure you hit subscribe or leave us a comment of your thoughts on the market and your thoughts on where you think the stock market is headed, where you think Bitcoin is headed. Okay, I don't really want to talk a whole lot about Bitcoin, to be honest, but one of the more important levels that I've been watching for a little while is this key marker right here, 91.96. You can see all across the board, it's been a big support and resistance level. And so just about a couple hours ago, we actually did break below it. If we test it as resistance right there and we start breaking down, I probably figure we get towards this, July monthly open. Probably going to bounce off that a little bit, but I don't know if we're going to actually head up too much further. Because I was kind of describing to our Advantage community earlier that this is potentially a big head and shoulders pattern developing, and the fact that we kind of just pierced below it, if we test this area as resistance and start breaking down, well, the target from the head and shoulders measured move takes us to about 89.50, maybe $8,900 or so. And then there's another way you can look at the structure right here, which is you can maybe draw out a descending triangle. Remember, these descending triangles right at the tops of the ranges like this are typically bearish in Bitcoin. More often than not, they've shown significant signs of downside. So just something to pay attention to. I know we've been talking about, my bearish targets for a while. And, I did read some of the more inflammatory comments on my YouTube feed. And, the interesting thing is, guys, I can't hold your hand in trades. I can't make every trade happen, and I can't be in every trade with you that you see that's going up 30, 40, 50%. Okay. I've been in a short, which I've been pretty transparent about, since the 96, 90, 9700s levels, right? And I've been very clear that I still believe Bitcoin is going to break down. Now, if you're going to complain and talk about, how I've been just sitting in a short for 40 days, well, you should maybe ask yourself, why is it that I'm short and what am I benefiting out of the short? Well, two things. Number one, it's a fantastic position to be short for 9600s because the market for the last almost month and a half has done really nothing except put in lower highs. If you have a sizable position like I do, you get paid in funding. Okay. Depending on your size of position, the funding pays for dinner every day or rent every day or a nice vacation every month. Okay. That is how funding works when you're trading in these perpetual futures contracts. And so for me, funding has been quite lucrative, to be honest. And I really have not had to do any bit of active management in my position. All I have to do is just hang on to my short, take profit whenever I want to, add on to my position whenever I want to, just keep riding this thing down. Okay. So when I hear people talking about, I miss the DeFi alts movement and this and that, there's always going to be stocks or altcoins or, Forex trades that you're going to miss out on, guys. It's like the whole idea of, imagine you're at a restaurant eating a meal and it's a great meal. Okay. Do you really think you should be worrying about another restaurant that has an even better meal? Fuck no, right? What does it matter? You're enjoying your meal right now. Enjoy the money that you're making from your trades and forget the noise. Okay. So, when it comes to this stuff about, me being in a short for 40 days or so, yeah, I'm making good money without even having to do anything, right? So these are things that you need to be careful about when you understand why people like myself or Fassel or anyone really taking positions in the market, why exactly are they taking positions? Okay. So anyway, I really wanted to clear up the air on that. I know there's a lot of critics out there, and I really don't mind criticism, but I'm helping you guys understand, would you rather be in a position that is pretty hands off for the last month, month and a half, just get paid easily in funding, or do you want to keep constantly actively managing positions on, say, Dogecoin or Lend or Link or all these random altcoins, which could potentially go up, another 30, 40%, or they could also drop 25% overnight because half of them are scams anyway, right? So these are things that you need to be careful about. And by the way, our community has been doing a phenomenal job at trading these altcoins without any of my help. They're doing a great job. So why do I need to intervene, right? So anyway, I wanted to clear that up. Bitcoin for now still trading, right around this 92.25s level. Okay, we're kind of just sitting here hovering sideways. Um, there's really not a whole lot that has taken place. I mean, like I said, watch out for this smaller time frame figure, 91.96 or so. If you start seeing a rejection right here, well, there's an opportunity that you could potentially go short, okay, with a stop above this area or stop above this area. Or if you really want to have a deeper stop, maybe above this weekly open, because that weekly open has, as you can clearly see, has rejected price, multiple times right there before we sold off. Okay. All right, let's keep moving on. Let me see here if there's anything else I need to talk about. Oh, by the way, guys, make sure you guys hit the thumbs up if you've been watching our content for a while. If you really enjoy it, let us know what you like about the content, because Fassel and our other writer, Bradley, who's both of these guys have been doing a phenomenal job. They're actually working on a newsletter. Okay. We haven't written a newsletter in a couple of years, but we're really excited to start one up again. Fassel will be more, stock centric. Bradley will cover both crypto and the equity markets based on our analysis. And so we're really excited to deploy this newsletter. I want to hear your guys' thoughts on what you think should be included in the newsletter. What should we talk about? Some interesting things that you think would be beneficial for us to know what you would like to read. Because ultimately, you guys are going to be the ones who are going to be reading this newsletter. Okay, so I really want you guys to get the benefits of that newsletter. But other than that, make sure y'all hit the thumbs up, all right? Okay, so let's get to the stock market with our equities analyst, Fassel. What's going on, man? Oh, Fassel, I think, is muted. Let me unmute him.
Yeah,
Okay,
I
I
was
got
muted.
you.
What's up, everybody?
Fassel, what's going on, man? How was the trading week? Tell us about your experience thus far, because I think both you and I were kind of neutral to bullish going into the week. Well, I guess neutral to bearish. I think you were neutral to bearish. I was neutral to bullish going to the week, and then both of us flipped bear like maybe a day or two ago. Now we're both a bit, more uncertain. Where are you at?
No, I'm still in the bear camp. Like, it's been a rough 2 days. My longs that I kept, I've been taking profit since last Thursday was when I started selling my high growth stocks and everything. And that, when I got out of tech last week, that ended up being a great play. And I actually got into my XLK short last week, which has been doing fairly well. I also got into my Roku short, which has not been doing that good, but it's been a little bit of an up and down week. I I was seeing the movement in the industrials and the healthcare sectors and housing and energy. I didn't believe, but I also saw some momentum in there, and I just didn't buy it. Stocks like Boston Scientific, URI, stocks that I've been talking about for the last couple of days, they just popped this week. URI is up 8% for the week already, and Boston Scientific I think is up maybe like 8-9% for the week. So these are just lost opportunities. I'm kind of kicking myself being on the wrong side of the market, but ultimately towards the end, I even though I was heavily short coming into today, I added more to my short by the end of the day, and tomorrow I think will be the day of judgment where I decide whether or not to cover most of my shorts and proceed to go long in whatever area I think I think is presenting an opportunity tomorrow, or yeah, I think the market will come down. Which is why I think I'm still in my shorts. I think the market's going to come down heavily over the next week or two, but so far the signs are still pointing that the market wants to go up. I mean, you're seeing stock like Amazon and the high growth stocks come
Even
down, and
Apple.
yeah, I mean, Apple closed up fine. Wait, did
No, I think Apple closed. Yeah, it closed down today.
what? No, I
Yeah.
thought it closed up to 2 points. Yeah, it closed
Well,
up to
well
2 points.
yeah, but I just meant that it's still like a red candle. Like it. Wait, Apple closed up 2 points. No, it opened at uh 395 and it closed at 390.
Oh, because it gapped it because the open was gapping and it closed below the open.
Oh,
That's
I
why
see what you're saying.
yeah. But ultimately, it's still held up fine. There was no buying momentum in these big cap names like Apple or Microsoft, but it seemed like all the money was being moved into industrials, housing, energy, a little bit of utilities in the morning, but they started to sell off. It's really becoming this type of rotation that I've been speaking on for the last couple of weeks. It's finally happening, I think. Financials are also getting into it. The banks had a really interesting week because the earnings were not that good. Like, obviously, I think going into the earnings quarter, everyone knew that trading revenue was going to be awesome because these guys are the main reason why the market has moved up. They were buying this market up at the lows and they ended up being rewarded heavily. But
Yeah.
the other aspects about the economy and the uncertainty regarding that, whether it's the small businesses or any of their loans, that's still up in the air. And I think there was a lot of risk. They didn't really say much to ease that risk, and I'm actually kind of surprised that they've popped from their earnings. But I personally don't think they're going to be going up that much. I was really surprised to see Goldman Sachs sell off at the open. That was another weird thing that happened today. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, Goldman had, I think, is probably the best position as far as they don't have as many loans and they're kind of more so a trading investment group. But yeah, to see it just sell off immediately when it opened after a relatively better quarter than the rest of the banks was very interesting to me. So I think this sector will be one to watch, and I think we should see some weakness just when I look at the technicals.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot to unpack. I mean, first thing I want to talk about is, you know, when you're on the wrong side of the market. So I think you heard at the beginning of the video, sometimes even on the crypto side, I mean, the market itself is not um, as easily, correlated to the same degree as, say, the stock sectors are, right? For example, if a sector in general is going up, like, say, for example, XLF, you could probably see, most bank stocks typically riding the momentum of that wave. In crypto, it's a little bit different, that sometimes you might see, some cryptos going up, some going down, but sometimes you also see random correlations where everything goes down. And so the point is, I wanted to ask is, when you're on the wrong side of the trade, or you have taken a trade where you're kind of paying the price for being on the wrong side, how do you sort of battle within yourself of, the initial analysis that you've done and how you need to stick to your positions, and how do you sort of tackle your own mentality going into that process of, going into a losing position the next day?
Yeah, that's a great question. Just when you're shorting, you have to be so much tighter in terms of your long-term thesis, why you got into the stock or shorted the stock in the first place. You have to be much tighter. So even though I'm short the market right now, I primarily loaded up on short just 2 days ago, or actually yesterday, and I'm giving myself till tomorrow to really get out of all those shorts and prove myself wrong, and hopefully get into some longs. Now, if it's a losing side on the long trade, I'm much more willing to wait and be optimistic, just because as long as the fundamentals point the right way, the estimates are still fine. There's nothing that's telling me this stock is breaking down internally or doesn't mirror my long-term thesis. Then I'm more willing to hold on to a good idea for the long haul. But if I have the conviction to short something, I got to be more careful. Like with Chewy, even though I had a really big conviction to short it, and I still think it's overvalued stock. Um, I had to get out at that time, and I lost quite a bit of money on that one. So there are just certain times where you have to be more disciplined, and other times where you can be more relaxed if you're willing to be patient with uh, the idea itself or the company itself. Because
Yeah.
sometimes you just catch it at a bad time, and that's the reality of the market. It doesn't mean that you're right. It doesn't mean that you're wrong. But you have to understand that you need to set certain boundaries. It just depends on whether or not you're shorting or going long, that you need to make them tight or loose or whatever.
Yeah, for sure. No, I think that's a great way of looking at the market because the one thing that any trader investor will know about the market is no one knows where exactly things are going the next day, right? The next day, the next week, whatever. The best we could do is figure out the evidence that we have in front of us about the company, about the sector, about the economy at large, and make the best informed decision. When it comes to winners and losers, you kind of take them both in stride, right? I mean, whether you have a losing trade one day or a winning trade one day, you got to think of it as a job, right? I mean, you have to just keep moving on, keep moving forward, no matter what happens. That the morale part of being wrong in the market is really where most people, I think, fall victim to the mentality of revenge trading or forcing trades or not respecting the market itself or not respecting their stops. So that's kind of what I wanted to ask you about is, what is typically your methodology of once you're wrong and once you've been proven wrong by the market, do you kind of beat yourself up? Do you typically look at the market and say, hey, why did I do this? Do you have like a journal that you kind of write down things in? I mean, how do you dissect, post-mortem of the trade?
Oh man. Well, usually I remember a lot of the trades that I miss. I usually don't miss that bad. If I get something wrong 3%, I usually kind of forget about it. But if I miss, 10 to 15% or even more, that'll kind of stick with me, and I'll review it even a month after the trade was executed and done with. But it's a really tough thing. When you mention revenge trading and trying to get back exactly what you lost in a short amount of time, because that's what everyone feels like. Usually when you lose money, it's most of the time in a fast sort of fashion, whether it spikes up or it spikes down, and you just feel the need to get that capital back. I've had urges like that before, but ultimately you just have to stay calm, and you have to assure yourself that you're able to find opportunities no matter what. Even if you get knocked down and you feel like you got wrong footing for one cycle of the market, you have to settle down. And one trick that I like to do actually is when I do have these types of things where I kind of go all long or all short, like I'm doing a little bit now. Um, Ultimately, if I do end up covering my shorts and being wrong, when I come back into the market, I'll come back a little bit more balanced. Like if I go into once I close out my shorts next week, I'm coming into it saying, okay, I want to find at least one long and one short to get into. And that way I'm not really trying to play the market, but I'm trying to dissect the ideas again. I'm trying to get back to my technical analysis on individual stocks and sectors and being like, okay, even though I still feel like the market may come down because it's still extended and all this other stuff, I could have just been wrong for a week. I'm going to give myself the opportunity to short a good short on probably the weakest sector, and then buy something that I think is really strong. So until I start to build momentum in either my short or long, then I'll get more comfortable in adding either more long positions or more short positions in that aspect.
Okay.
That's just something that helps me get back into the rhythm, because
Yeah.
just exactly like you said, when you have a bad trade or a bad week or a bad streak, it is really tough to get out of it. It's tough to feel like you have control over aspects like technical analysis or fundamental analysis, because uh, a lot of times, even when you get it wrong, it's not entirely your fault, and even when you get it right, it's a lot of times it's luck. And so you
Yeah.
have to just understand, put yourself in the best positions every time, and kind of reset yourself. No time is the same. It's once you execute that trade, that market doesn't care whether you lost 20%, 10%, 2%. It's all like a reset. You just got to look at the landscape and see, okay, where can I go next?
Fair point. Um, so I came into this video, I wanted to talk to our members, our viewers about exactly what's going on in the market, because it seems like tech in general was taking a little bit of a breather maybe the last couple of days. It wasn't sort of accelerating at the same pace that it was, especially companies like Tesla. Um, I also wanted to talk
Yeah.
about, by the way, when it comes to Tesla, I've been doing research into other potential prospects in the EV space, such as Rivian, which is a big company that I'm kind of looking forward to, because Amazon and I know Blackstone are both quite heavily invested in Rivian, and these guys are supposed to be making, electric vehicle trucks. So I'm kind of looking at Tesla that it's significantly overpriced. Like, I was doing some math about Tesla. Okay, so Toyota, Volkswagen, and Honda are 2, 3, and 4 of the largest automakers by market cap, and Tesla obviously right now is number one. But it's actually number one by such a significant margin because it actually combines all three of their market caps. Okay, which is insane. And the crazy thing is, Tesla doesn't even sell half as many cars as Toyota or Volkswagen or Honda. Now, I get the argument that Tesla is um, more than just a car company. It has batteries going for it. It has this amazing autonomous software that's potentially going for it. But the fact of the matter is, I think only this first quarter or second quarter of 2020, it made $16 million in profit over, I think, 80,000 cars sold, which is a pretty ridiculous margin. Okay. Now I'm looking at Tesla and I'm looking at this market and I'm thinking to myself, okay, I personally still believe that we're in a pretty large asset bubble. Now, is Tesla the Amazon of the year 2000, where it may have another potential drawdown like Amazon did way the heck back here, when we had that big bubble in 2000? It dropped 95% or so, and then it took over the world 20 years later. Okay, now the question is Tesla the Amazon of the world, right, 20 years later? Or is it the Cisco of the world, where it got hyped up aggressively way back in the early 2000s, but it's never really lived up to the hype, never really kind of gotten the same kind of profit margins compared to its other competition that has come about over the last 10, 15, 20 years?
Yeah.
I guess my question is, first of all, what are your thoughts? And I mean, what do you think of Tesla stock, being where it is right now?
Bro, I wouldn't touch it no matter what. I've had so many people come up to me asking me if I bought it, and they all mention the same thing. Well, this stock's going to 2000, right? Like, I just bought a little bit, I think it's just going to go to 2000. I'm going to sell it or anything like that. And I don't know, like, everyone is saying that $2,000 price. And I think that is very scary to me because this stock went up to, I think, 1800 a couple of days ago. And I really don't think it'll get back up to that level within the short term. As far as pulling back like Amazon did, no, I don't see it pulling back 95%. I think back when Amazon had that huge spike up, obviously that was inflated because of the tech bubble and what the promise of the internet was. But the infrastructure, I think, is better set up to get technology like what Tesla has to market. As long as they continue to build factories and increase their capacity of output, I think they remain in a class of their own. In regards to Cisco ended up having a ton of competition coming into their market. They were a very broad and big company, and their hardware side, I mean, they're trying to become a software company right now, but they're still primarily a hardware company, and which is why they've done so bad. There's just so many good competitors in that space. With Tesla, I see them as a notch above the rest, and at least over here, everyone I know kind of wants a Tesla. If you're thinking about getting an electric car, I mean, I thought for a while the BMW had a nice two-seater or whatever, but it seems like no one cares about that anymore. It's just all about the Tesla.
I
So when
agree.
you have that type of brand power, I think I think it'll stay there, and people are willing to wait for their cars, weeks, months sometimes, and I think that's very powerful. I mean, I think
Yeah.
the stock is very high, and I love how they're creating additional revenue sources by adding software to their cars, and I think that'll be more interesting down the road as we see what else they can build on that. But no, I think Tesla, the most I could see it coming down to would probably be maybe I don't even know, honestly.
Well, I mean, I could see Tesla coming back down towards maybe $1,000, which is pretty decent sized drop. Like what is that? 35, 40% drop. Yeah. So I actually don't really have a dog in the race when it comes to the EV cycle of stocks. I merely wanted to get your opinion on Tesla and where it is right now because at the beginning of this video, we kind of discussed, in the crypto space, I mean, we often have the big dog runners that, move in a parabolic fashion, kind of like Tesla has right now. And oftentimes, people will ask me, why am I not buying this or why am I not trading this? And I think my answer is simple. First of all, I'm already established in positions and assets that I personally understand, and I'm already making good money on it. It's the same analogy of, if you're sitting at a restaurant eating a nice meal, why worry about another restaurant that's going to potentially have a better meal that you see on fucking Instagram or something, right? So my question to you is, how do you deal with these FOMO, euphoria people who keep talking about Tesla going to 2000? And what is your advice to give to our viewers right now when, whether it be Tesla or these cryptos that are really exploding in terms of their gains? How do you fend off that FOMO, that euphoria on your trading account or on your impulses?
Oh, well, I mean, I don't really feel it. Like, for the most part, most of my trades over the last couple weeks went for double digits, and that's usually what I go for. At least if I can make 10% on most of my long trades, that's fine. If Tesla went up 30% in 5 days, I don't really care. For me, it's just if I were to get in, when it was breaking out, I think that would have been fine. I think you could have made sense to get in at around 1,000 when it first broke out of, it made that cup and then that very small handle.
Yeah,
But honestly, I would have probably sold it at around 1,200, 1,300, and then I would have never held on to it, never bought back into it after that, because just the risk to reward is, in my opinion, it's so shaky. Like, why would you want to buy something that, obviously it can make you 10% in a day, but I think at any point it could lose you 20% in a day. Stocks go down a lot harder than they go up. In Tesla's case, it's completely defied that. It's gone up so freaking much. But
yeah,
it's really a rare scenario. And when I see those rare scenarios, I'm like, okay, like, for the people that were in it, congratulations, good job. I hope y'all get out soon or make money soon. Don't stay in it, because your profit's only real once you lock it in.
yeah,
But yeah, I never feel bad about it. There's always opportunities everywhere else, and this sector has always been one that's been a little bit speculative ever since stocks like Nikola and more recently Neo
workhorse.
have just gone up like, oh yeah, Workhorse have gone up like crazy. And even though I do believe in the demand and the innovation in the electric vehicle space, it's all about, what am I paying for when I buy this stock at $18? Like, I knew what I was paying for when I bought it at $1.30. Okay,
Mhm.
about a month ago or 2 months ago. It was a very speculative company. So what exactly has changed from now till then? And does it really account for the fact that maybe when you're buying the stock at $18, it's primarily basing it off of it being like a Tesla in its certain field. I don't know if Workhorse is like the truck one or whatever, but maybe they end up being the most dominant electric vehicle truck maker. Well, I don't think, as long as Tesla is still in the marketplace, I don't really think any other company besides Tesla can say that. And so when you buy stocks at these high premiums, when you buy, you're kind of buying it with the sense that, okay, you're going to be a dominant player sometime soon. And so that's really risky for me. I never like buying something like that when competition is just starting to heat up, in my point, and the stock prices are already getting ahead of themselves. So yeah, I expect that in a lot of these other electric vehicle companies, you're going to see them come down maybe 80 80%, 75%. But I think Tesla is going to be the one that's going to definitely weather the storm the best.
Yeah, I totally agree. And, for what it's worth, I have this fundamental belief that when it comes to first to market or market leaders in a particular sector or segment, I always believe that more often than not, those are the companies that will capture a majority of the market share, and they'll probably be the best company going forward into the future. If you look at the example of Apple creating the iPhone or the iPod, it's still the number one company in terms of market cap. If you're looking at Bitcoin as a cryptocurrency, it's still the number one crypto in terms of market cap. It doesn't matter what happened during the random time span 2017 or so, with the big bubble. But for the most part, in the long tenure and time scale of the lifespan of that company, more often than not, it's usually the pack leader who wins out. Same thing with United Healthcare when Obamacare was rolling out. If you had just bought United Healthcare, not worried about all these other companies like Anthem or Cigna or any of these insurance companies, you wouldn't really have to worry about a whole lot because United went bananas, right? So I have the same belief with Tesla that I still think that Tesla's probably going to be the most successful company and probably have a line share of the market cap going forward because it has been first to market. It has a lot of brand power that is associated with electric vehicles. And no one is talking about buying a freaking Nikola truck when it comes out. We're all talking about, well, if I get X amount of money, I want to buy, a nice Tesla car or SUV or whatever. No?
Yeah, no, definitely buying the Tesla truck. That thing looks like a giant block. I want to actually drive that. That's the truck that I want to get.
Yeah,
I don't know
no
about the
doubt.
Nikola truck, but
No doubt.
exactly to your point. And I think as long I may not be the biggest Elon Musk fan, but as long as he's in charge of the company, that stock will always have some type of floor. Like compared to all these other unknowns, I think the fact that Elon Musk is the CEO and continues to, you know, be at just the face of the entire company when it's such an iconic brand already, it'll always provide a safety net for the stock. So even when these stocks do correct, the entire electric vehicle sector, I think just like JP Morgan always trades at a premium to all these other banks because Jamie Dimon is the best bank CEO, you're going to see the same thing once these prices normalize in the electric vehicle sector. Tesla will always be trading at a high premium compared to all the other ones, even once all the developments come to fruition and these companies actually have products on market.
100%. I agree. Yeah. So, I mean, the title of this video was The Next Tesla. And so I do want people to do their own research and look into this company called Rivian. I think this is also going to be a SPAC, so it won't be our traditional IPO. We've spoken about SPACs before. I'll have a link at the end of this video where I discuss SPACs. And also at the end of this video, or even in our chat if you're watching it, there's a link of me explaining how the US dollar, bonds, and equity markets, how their correlations help you understand exactly potentially where the market is heading towards, whether you need to get into the market or whether you need to get out. Okay. Let me see here. Are you guys still into Beyond and AMD? So I have closed out my Beyond position. AMD, I still have a little bit of. Let me see here. I don't know if I don't think I have more than like maybe 5% of my total AMD position. So it's negligible. But I think for the most part, I mean, right now, what I'm holding is Uber, Silver, Gold, GDX. And, the second half of this video, Faisal and I are actually going to discuss our positions that we're going to think about for the rest of this week and next week. But that's only going to be for Advantage members. By the way, if you guys are interested in our Advantage membership, it's $97 a month. You get all access to crypto, all access to the equities channel right here. So you can see right here, this is all our crypto stuff right here. This is all stuff that Faisal talks about every single day in terms of his updates, equity updates. He talks about trades that he's taking, positions that he's opening or closing, all right here in these channels. And then my Forex trades are right here. And then we also dabble in options here and there. Okay, so make sure y'all join the Discord. The link is below right there in the YouTube description. Let me see. Faisal, is there anything else you want to talk about, or should we make it our private seminar where we discuss positions?
No, I'll go ahead and talk on the Beyond Meat and AMD note. Like so for the tech, it's really interesting because broad tech is pulling back, and I was in AMD a week ago. I got out at around $56 or something, but so far, especially today, I started to notice some really interesting signs in the semi space. And it may be an area that I'm looking to get back into if I start to see the strength in some of the semi leaders like Lam, Applied Materials, and NVIDIA. I still think that if you're in AMD, just keep an eye out for it, because with tech pulling back, broad tech pulling back, I still don't know if this industry is impervious to that pullback. So far, it's acting very good, but I would just want to say that. And then on Beyond Meat, I think some news came out that they were going to sell in Brazil, and the stock spiked up a little bit. For those who are in the stock like me, I kind of got in at a pretty high price, I think above like 150 or something. This type of news, when it pops, it's not going to be something that's going to create like a long-term catalyst. For me, I think this news may give us an out opportunity, actually. So I may be looking, if I see the right signs tomorrow, I may actually be looking to close my Beyond Meat position. If I start to see a little bit of negative signs towards the top, we'll see. I guess I'll put out an alert, of course, if I do, but that's just my thinking of what happened to Beyond Meat in regards to the news that came out and why the stock popped.
Yeah, fair point. Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of with Faisal there. I think if you remember this candle, this is, I think, one of the candles that I had gotten into a Beyond Meat position in terms of options as well as the shares. And I think I sold like somewhere around these candles right here, these two. This was because of the whole China partnership or something where they were starting to sell more to China. I think you guys know the phrase, buy the rumor, sell the news. So that's kind of what you want to apply this to in the same way that Faisal said is, once you start seeing that news hit, that positive news, and if the stock is looking like it's already consolidating or kind of on a decline, well, you kind of want to sell the news and, get out. Okay. Let me see here. Okay. Well, I think that's pretty much it for the free content. And then Faisal and I are going to discuss the trades and positions that we are in, what we're thinking about for the rest of the week and the week ahead in the private Zoom session seminar. So make sure y'all join the Discord link below if you want to be a part of our community. Sometimes we share our positions with the free side as well. All right. Hit the thumbs up. Thank you again for joining. Leave your comments, guys, for what you think should be introduced in our newsletter, because we are coming out with a newsletter. Super excited about that. So I definitely want to hear from y'all, what kind of stuff that you want in the newsletter. Let's see here. BitBoy, last question. You thought that Beyond was kind of in a falling wedge kind of structure. I don't know if it's in a falling wedge. Let me see. All right. So let's take it out like this.
Oh, okay. I see what he's saying.
I think it's a pretty difficult draw on the structure. I mean, I'd probably say more so of a descending parallel channel, but I don't know about a wedge. Like you could probably draw something like this, right? So for example, you could draw that and then that. That's probably the best thing that you can draw at present moment, like that. So I don't know about a wedge, my friend. Okay. But yeah, we're going to conclude this session, guys. Thank you again for watching. Come join the free Discord channel below. If you guys want to join the Advantage membership, the link is also below. And for $97, you can get all access to our crypto side, equity side, Forex side, and the options side as well. Okay. Cheers. And yeah, I'll catch up with y'all Friday.